Let me try to explain this a little bit different. And I always try to come up with these little analogies to try to help people understand and explain it in a different way. So, I talk about catching. Well, if you think of it about like this, building a house of cards. You got a plain deck of cards and you try to stack them up, build yourself a house. But, all the pieces got to be pretty stable, so how you stack them has got to be good. If you don't, the whole house falls down, you got to go back and start from the beginning. So, really all you need to do is look at this as like a game. Like I said, all you need are the two parts, me and my deck of cards. So if she's the deck of cards, and I have myself here, my deck of cards here, I can start trying to build this house of cards. Right? So, you get this part where she understands, just being with you. So that's why I say this is all that matters. It's just, can you have your deck of cards? You got to have a starting place. And the better you get at it, the quicker you can stack your cards. So if you have this, you and your deck, then all you do is say, okay, can I start putting the card up here? Right? Can I put another card here? Does my deck fall apart or not? It's a little wobbly there, right? So you start going around, see if you can stack a card here, stack a card here, stack a card there. But you have to have two walls. So just because you do it on one side, you got to make sure you can do it on both sides. You got to have your wall here, right? A wall down here, a wall down here, and then of course you got to have your wall across the back. Then you can start building your roof. And just because I stack my cards this way doesn't mean that I'm building the house correctly. You can build your house any way you want. And for the people that think, oh, my horse catches no problem, I can go right out there, he greets me. So what I would say is just try something. Say you go out and catch your horse, and you do a lot of things I like to do in a certain way, because horses watch your patterns. That's why I say patterns are important. Energy is important. So I'm pretty consistent about how I approach my horse. But say you go out to the pasture, you get your horse, and your horse always greets you head on. See, I watch. See, with this horse, she's just the opposite of what Indy used to be. She really prefers me on the right-hand side. But, so I watch. And how does my horse greet me? Does he greet me in one eye, or does he greet me in two eyes? So just because you can go out to the pasture and say your horse does always greet you this way, and he goes, here, put the halter on me. Well, that's fine if that's your intention. But say, just to see, just to check your horse and see, this just balances a horse out. You want to see how good your horse is, go out there kind of with the intent that maybe you're going to catch him. You got your halter and lead rope. How does he greet you? Does he go like this? And you say, yeah, well, that's cooperation. Well, now what if you change your mind and you say, I'm not going to catch you, I'm going to go catch old Yellowmino or something. So if you decide all of a sudden change and just give your horse a rub, I don't want to ride you today, give him a rub. What happens if you try to go on that side? See, you have to watch your own patterns as much as the horse, because your patterns are always the same. When you want to catch him, you go on this side, and sure, you think it's cooperation, but is it really? Or is it just a learned behavior? Or a pattern, because he's learned to watch your patterns, because they'll watch your patterns. So, I check. If I got a horse and I come in and see how she's always got her head tipped that way, so I just say, can I go on this side? Are you still okay with that? If you do that with some horses, they'll go, oh, what the hell kind of crap is that? They take off. So that's all it is, really. It's just a game. You just see how many cards can you get stacked. How fast can you? See, the better you get at it, once they get used to this, and then to this, See, and just because when you have the halter and lead rope in your hand, see, I know I'm cautious about it. See, when I go in and I greet here, then when I go to put my hand up here, if I put it up with a lot of energy, guess what? See, the halter and lead rope goes like this and smacks the horse. So, because more than likely the horse is watching your intent of your hand, and then all of a sudden this touches them down below, they take off. So you have to be careful because you haven't stacked that card well enough. So you know, when you're putting cards up, you start to be, but the more you do it, see, the more your house falls down, the more you start stacking these cards up. Now all of a sudden you get back there and you go, I know how to stack this card, and you stack it up there faster because it's gotten better. Plus the fact, the cards, the more you play with the cards, the more flexible the cards get. You know how the difference is between the deck of cards that you've used a lot? They get nice and soft and everything works good. But when you start out, the deck is very stiff. And those cards don't manipulate, they're rigid. Well, that's just how the horse is. So once you get this good with one horse, you go to put your next horse, and you might have been able to build this great house with this horse. Your next horse is like a whole new deck of cards, stiff as a board. But the more you use them, the more you play with them, the softer they get. So, you know, and the other thing is when I tell people about making a horse uncomfortable for leading, some people have a hard time with that. So, all you need to do is think of it this way. You're building that little house of cards outside. So now your horse is not only the deck of cards, but your horse becomes the wind. So every time your horse takes off, you just ended up with a big gust of wind. So say you're, I gotta move her a little bit, so. So, let's say you're building your little house of cards, right? And your horse takes off that way. Well, if you were actually building a house of cards and it was the wind that blew your cards away, you'd have to go pick up your cards, right? And the stronger the wind blew, you know how that is trying to catch stuff in the wind? If it's blowing hard, you've got to run faster. So, we'll just kind of see what happens. Let's just say the wind blew. Let's say she took off. Think of it this way. See, I'm going to run over here, pick up my cards. See, it's just because it was energy. See, she got to the point where she's actually paying attention just because my energy went that way. And see, my energy didn't go toward her. See, when the horse runs away, their big burst of speed is going to be at first. And then they're going to make the turn down there. Well, if you're picking up your cards the way the wind blew, just because the wind blew hard here, if the wind swirls around here, it's not as much power. So if it was paper or cards and the wind blew, they would all be scattering that way. So when the wind eddied a little bit, you'd still be picking up cards over here, even though the wind went that way. Because here's where the big gust of wind went. So you don't have to think of it like you're doing anything bad to your horse. You're just running and picking up your cards. But that's what you get. So there's a couple things that you need to understand. This is about patterns. You watch the horse's patterns because the horse is always watching your patterns. Then your thoughts. So focus becomes a big thing. These people, their eyes go over here, and they go over there, they go there, they go there, they go there, they go there. With a horse, you have to be real careful where your thoughts go. And how well can you keep your thought there if that's where you want it? So you got patterns, you got energy, relaxed, or if the wind blows, you've got to run around and pick up your cards. So you got patterns, you got energy, focus, and then feel. You know, it's how you place the card. But like I said, the better you get at it, the faster you can place that card, because you say, well, I built my walls up here. These go up easy. Do, 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 do. So every time your house falls apart, you start to progress. But you know how to stack them, because you've stacked them so many times. The more you do it, the better you get at it. The more flexible your cards get, i.e. the deck of cards. So the more I do this with it, the softer she gets, because I'm using that deck.